Hi, I'm Dr. DeFabio, and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about stress intervention. It was originally aired, this webinar, in March of 2020, right in the middle of the COVID pandemic here in New Jersey. People are stressed, people are anxious, people are fearful. So I thought, let's put this information out, especially now, but regardless of when you're watching this, if you want to figure out how to intervene on your personal stress levels, this is good information. I'm a chiropractic doctor, for the people that don't know me, in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, and I'm chief of chiropractic services at DeFabio Spine and Sports Rehab, where it's not what we treat, but it's how we treat it without medication or drugs, and it's a blend of acupuncture, chiropractic, nutrition, and lifestyle changes to get you back in the game. So, first of all, disclaimer alert. The information presented in this webinar is my personal information, and just because I think it's great doesn't mean it's great for you. The second one, attendance at this webinar does not mean you and I have a doctor-patient relationship. Number three, if you want to do any of the stress interventions we talk about today, discuss it with your personal health care provider and determine if it's right for you. Going back to number two, just because I said it was a great idea and that you watch this, I'm not your doc. If I'm your doc, you talk about these interventions with me, and then we'll decide which ones are best. So let's define stress. We're really going to be talking about the work of Selye, MD, PhD, who wrote a text, oh gosh, over 50 years ago, The Stress of Life. Great book, get your hands on it. And he talked about stressors are all around us, and they're divided into two types, eustress or distress. Eustress is a positive stressor on our body. Eating a healthy meal is a stress on your stomach, but the net effect is beneficial, the nutrients. Eating a lousy food, a lousy meal, is distress. Drinking alcohol, it's distress on your body. It's the net response of the eustress and the de-stress of all those stressors that determines what state of being you're in right now. So if you have a lot of eustress, you're in a eustress healthy state. If you have a lot of distress, you're in a distress dis-ease state. All based on Selye's work, and it's called the general adaptation syndrome. But we're going to keep it real simple. You have three types of stress: physical, chemical, and emotional. And we're going to look at those three and how you can intervene on those three. But for the sake of this webinar moving forward, all distress we're going to consider as stress. So if I use the term stress, we mean distress, meaning forward. But according to Selye, you have eustress and distress. This is his general adaptation syndrome. What do you need to know about this graph? It's pretty cool. When you first get into a stressful situation, let's say you're walking across the street and a car's racing down, you got to run out of the street, your adrenal glands kick in, your fight or flight response, right? And you got to get out of the way, all right? That's right here in the beginning. If you're running away from a lion, our primal reflexes when we were hunter-gatherers, that's here. But if that stress stays for a long period of time, let's say you're in a very toxic work environment and it's just no fun to go to work. That's stress that continues over time. Your adrenal glands are pumping out cortisol, even though the car's not there, even though the lion's not there. And then ultimately your adrenal glands start to fail. What happens to your body during the general adaptation syndrome? Well, we know in the alarm reaction, your nervous system kicks in, your eyes dilate, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your peripheral blood vessels vasoconstrict, they cut down blood flow. We know that. But over time, in the resistance phase, over time, you get HPA axis activation. Your adrenal glands activate your hypothalamic and pituitary glands. They're both in your brain. Very important for governing all other hormones. Wow, yeah. So your adrenals are over kicking in. Now it's throwing off your whole hormonal system, your HPA axis. Essential for healing, essential for metabolism, and essential for sleep. Over time, you start to get tissue damage. Selye proved this in research, whether it was chemical, physical, or emotional stress. First, you start to get first you get adrenal hypertrophy. Your adrenals start to overwork, kick in more. Then what happens is your GI system starts to break down. Ulcers, leaky gut syndrome, metabolic dysbiosis is another name for it, right? GI symptoms, agita, chronic agita. Then you get lymphoid and thymic atrophy. That means your immune system shuts down. So adrenals kick in, then they're kicking in over a long period of time, then they start to not work so well, then your GI system starts to become compromised, then your immune system starts to become compromised. Oh, stress is a problem. Let's get you into a more healthy state, because ultimately, Selye said when they kick in to the point where they can no longer work, they exhaust, your body's going to shut down. So physical stress is the first one we're going to talk about. We're going to keep it simple. And it's cumulative microtrauma, all right? That means sitting at your desk all day in a poor posture, driving a lot, repetitive microtrauma. That's physical stress, okay? Maybe your shoes are uneven. Maybe you have a dental issue, and when you bite, it grabs on one TMJ more than the other TMJ, all right? So there's lots of forms of cumulative microtrauma, all right? As it builds up over time, it leads to bigger problems, okay? And there's a whole bunch of issues. You have dental problems, uneven shoes, poor posture, right? If you're in here, you're hanging from your spine rather than being tall and strong, what we talk about in the office all the time, all right? So cumulative microtrauma is where most physical stress comes from. However, there's macro trauma. Macro trauma is getting hit by a car. Macro trauma is picking up something too heavy. Macro trauma is a big deal. It's a fall, it's a crash, it's an accident, okay? It's a physical injury that is significant as opposed to something that builds up over time. Your cumulative microtrauma has a tendency to be more chronic. This has a tendency to be more acute, all right? So physical stressors or stress on our body. Chemical stressors, well, they're all over. Yeah, we can just look at alcohol, and we can look at environmental toxins. We can look at white flour, white sugar, pesticides, preservatives in our food, and of course, smoking, all right? Tobacco, toxins are all over. Chemical stress. There are over 70,000 chemicals in the environment right now that have been identified as endocrine disruptive hormones, EDCs. They create central obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension, which is called metabolic syndrome, in our environment right now, established in the medical literature. So diet, chemical stress, eating foods that are full of pesticides and preservatives and food coloring, nutritional imbalances, environmental toxins. You know, our water, we try to keep it clean. A Brita filter is a bare minimum is great, but the air is a problem, you know. So try to, you know, stay away from a lot of pollutants in the air if you can. And food, try to get organic, all right? Pesticide free. Medications is next. Now, why did I put medications in there? The problem with medications is when you need them, you need them. It's the misuse and abuse of medications that's a problem. But in terms of toxins, when someone's on a medication, the extra medication that is left over, they pee out, ends up in their urine, goes into the toilet, goes to the sewage plant. Sewage plant filters out the particulate matter, kills all the bacteria, makes it okay to send back into the rivers, okay, where it then gets into the water supply. But it doesn't take out chemicals. So all these extra medications that are in our bodies that get peed out end up in our water supply. That's scary. That's scary. It's one of the theories on how there's so many estrogenic materials in the environment right now. And lastly, supplements. Even though nutritional supplements are good for you and they're a healthy choice, if you're taking a lot of nutritional supplements, or if your liver or stomach can't tolerate metabolizing them, it becomes a distress. They're not a eustress, they're a distress. So more with supplements isn't always better. We'll be talking about supplements for stress in a moment. Emotional stress, that's when everybody thinks about. Oh man, when you say stress, everyone thinks about this, but you have to remember there's chemical and there's physical too. So yes, emotional tension drives everything. What happens when you get stressed out? A lot of times because you agita and indigestion, right? Some people eat too much, some people don't eat at all, right? You can't sleep, throws off that HPA axis. See how it's all tied together? So if we can balance the HPA axis, if we can balance your adrenals, we can impact the emotional and physical and chemical stress levels, we can intervene on those levels, you'll be closer to a state of eustress, okay? And again, this is all in your head. It's all intellectual, but pain's in your head too. So we can't ignore what happens upstairs. We just have to integrate it with what happens in the rest of our body, okay? Great chart. Cortisol levels, right? Secreted from the adrenal. This impacts everything. It impacts the brain. It impacts the nerves. It impacts your GI system, right? It impacts your immune system. It's right there. We got to keep those cortisol levels balanced. That's the key. This is where we intervene from a lifestyle nutrition standpoint. So the effects of stress are down here. They're disease. They're disease. It's joint pain, muscle pain, plain old everyday inflammation, okay? It's fluctuations in your blood sugar, all right? You get blood sugar crashes, get hyperglycemic, headaches. We already talked about the GI issues. We've mentioned a little bit about insomnia, but what about fatigue? When that HPA axis is off, you get crashed, you're fatigued because your adrenals aren't able to keep their normal rhythm. See, your cortisol levels are supposed to be higher in the morning and lower at night. And melatonin, another hormone, is supposed to kick in the morning and, kick in at night and be low in the morning. And we can track that simply with a lab test. It's a 4-point cortisol lab test. And a lot of times what we see is the cortisol levels are actually high at night, which means people aren't sleeping, and if they are sleeping, they're not getting quality sleep. So get your cortisol level checked. It's a simple salivary test, and it's very accurate. Weight gain and weight loss both fall into, weight gain is definitely related to sleep issues and overeating and stressful eating, emotional stress, but weight loss can also be a result of that as well. And of course, anxiety and depression falls into all of this. And these all are manageable, but they all create disease, and that's what we want to get away from. So the intervention, real quickly, keep a stress diary. When you're under a stressful situation, jot down where you are, what you were doing, how you were feeling, who you were with, all right? Let's see, was it related to chemicals or food or the environment? Was it related to emotions and who you were with or what you were doing? Or was it a physical thing, the way you were sitting or walking or how you were working out, the position you were in? God, I feel great until I did yoga, or that would be not a good choice, until I got on the treadmill. And the treadmill, oh man, I really felt crappy. Well, what were you doing on the treadmill? Were you running uphill? Were you running flat? Were you holding on? How was your posture? Et cetera, et cetera. Keep a stress diary. Measure the cortisol levels. I told you that. You can do a 4-point cortisol test. It's a salivary test, very accurate, and it tells you what's going on. You have to avoid stimulants like caffeine and alcohol. They will decrease your quality of sleep, but if you get up in the morning and you have a cup of coffee, that wakes you up, which means your cortisol level's not kicking you in to wake you up. You're using caffeine to wake you up. The caffeine wears off, you crash and burn, you need another cup of coffee. Let your cortisol level kick you up in the morning and use good sleep hygiene at night, meaning no cell phones an hour before bed, no computers, put on the blue light setting on your phone. Exercise. Moderate exercise is shown to be excellent for intervening with stress, okay? If you go heavy exercise, don't do it every workout, all right? Moderate exercise is really good. Get some fresh air if you can as well. Heavy exercise periodically, not every workout, because otherwise it becomes distress. Sleep, got to get good quality sleep, not just quantity, but quality, all right? And that means you may need to do things like CBD oil. You may need to do good sleep hygiene like we talked about before, all right? So sleep quality, very important, minimum of 7 hours though. And mindfulness. What's going on? Be present now. Don't think about the past. It's done. Don't think about the future. It hasn't happened. Be grateful for where you are right now and realize where you are is a good place. All right? I'm Catholic. And the last couple of weeks with this COVID thing, I came out with, been doing a lot of prayer, and I found about this welcome prayer. Check it out, all right? It really lets go of your sense of control and security, and you realize what's really important in your life. Diet and supplements is also, we're going to talk a little bit about supplements and diet that can intervene for the chemical, physical, and emotional interveners. And, you know, meditate, pray, really important for that mindfulness and centering yourself and realizing to get out of yourself, okay? Chiropractic adjustments are also very beneficial. It relaxes muscular tension, it relaxes irritation to the nervous system, helps you get a higher quality of sleep, and the healing power of touch cannot be underestimated. Exercise, we talked about it, submaximal workouts, both cardio and weights. If you exercise to fatigue, it accelerates chemical and physical stress, so don't do that every workout. Yoga is great. Love yoga. You get breathing, you get mindfulness, you get stretching. You can stretch on your own without yoga. Exercise, breathing. We didn't talk about breathing yet. Deep abdominal breathing is really great, gets more oxygen into your muscles and helps them relax. Square breathing is a great technique to learn if you're under current stress, which means you breathe in, you hold your breath, you breathe out, and you wait in the same cadence, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4. And you go up as long as you can. Square breathing. And being here, tall, strong posture when you breathe. It not only stimulates core and diaphragmatic stability, it helps with mindfulness. Because when you're in a good mindset, you're tall and strong. When you're in a poor mindset, you're here. So if you're here because you've been on your phone, you're already setting the stage for negative thoughts and distress. If you're here with your life and exercise, you're already setting the stage for eustress. Sleep. We talked about it being a priority. It's essential to reduce disease. It's essential to reduce inflammation. We talked about avoiding stimulants, alcohols, and caffeine. Hey, exercise is great. Just don't do heavy exercise or vigorous cardio right before bed. Give yourself a couple hours. Taking chiropractic adjustments will improve sleep, and good sleep hygiene. Cool, dark room, no cell phone, no computer right before bed. Briefly talked about prayer, meditation, and music. Find that happy place. Hey, look, if you want to get in a bubble bath and pay your favorite music for 15 minutes to float away Calgon, to date myself, that's fine. You want to do transcendental meditation, you want to do contemplative prayer, that's fine. You want to just go sit and spend some time with the Lord and realize how merciful and graceful He is, that's fine. The bottom line, any one of those things is how we're going to create mindfulness. And be creating mindfulness, it's going to help you realize the bigger picture. Chiropractic, we talked about it, how it treats the physical symptoms of stress. It's a drugless approach, which is great. No opioids, reduces pressure on the nerves, and incorporates the healing power of touch. We've talked all about that. So the nutrition for physical symptoms, anti-inflammatory diet. All right, it's on my website. You can reach out to me in my YouTube channel. I have a whole playlist on anti-inflammatory diet. High in omega-3 fatty acids, ginger, turmeric, systemic enzymes, magnesium, calcium. Slam all of those for cramps, muscle tightness, headaches, physical symptoms of stress. Herbals, valerian, passion flower, rhodiola, all excellent. Magnolia root's another one that's not up there. It's excellent. Vitamin C, real important, especially now to keep your immune system up, but it also is beneficial for collagen, which is a building block of muscles, nerves, and bones. Nutrition for chemical irritations, chemical stress. Detoxify. Stop eating all the junk. Stop eating all the pesticides. Stop eating all of the chemicals. No alcohol. No tobacco. Right. So limit your environmental exposure. Standard Process has got a great detoxification program called the Purification Program. But digestive enzymes, probiotics, multiple vitamin, mineral, magnesium, trace minerals are all important in managing the chemical stress. We have to boost up liver function. We have to boost up kidney function. We have to heal the gut so the chemicals don't get into our body. They stay in the gut and get pooped out, okay? This often needs individual attention because it's so multifaceted. So use things you can do, but centering around limiting your exposure inside to the toxins and stimulating the function of the organs to release toxins, bowels, kidneys, liver, and skin, which is where exercise comes in. A light sweat will help that. Emotional impact, you have to manage blood sugar levels. Crashing and burning with your blood sugar levels impacts your brain. Brain needs sugar to function on. If it's too high, too low, you're going to go through lots of mood swings, okay? So that means a low glycemic load diet. Keep your blood sugar levels. Stay away from the simple carbs, white flour, white sugar. Omega-3s, once again, especially DHA, really good for brain health. SAMe is a great supplement for brain health. Some herbs, valerian, Asian, even Siberian ginseng, St. John's wort, and chamomile. Chamomile's great. Drink it all day long. It won't make you sleepy, but it will calm you. Some excellent amino acids. Now, amino acids are the precursors to what's called neurotransmitters, which are the chemicals in how your nerves and your brain work. By the way, those neurotransmitters are made in your gut. So if your gut's out of whack, your neurotransmitters are out of whack. Ooh, Selye, gut, adrenals, balance those cortisol levels. L-tyrosine, GABA, taurine, 5-HTP, glycine, all calming neurotransmitters. They're all calming neurotransmitters. So we've gone through a lot today. What are my top 10 tips for stress reduction? Number 1, sleep. Get enough high quality sleep. Big thumbs up on that. 2, be positive, be happy, be healthy. Don't worry, be happy. Get that music, download it on your phone, listen to it every day. Smile, people. Balance those cortisol levels, have them tested, and balance them. There's lots of really high quality supplements to balance the cortisol levels to reset your HPA axis. Exercise, not too hard, but consistent. Cardio, flexibility, and resistance. Avoid stimulants, caffeine, alcohol. We've talked about that. It just throws off that HPA axis, impacts sleep negatively, and a lot of times it affects your emotions. Pray, meditate, center yourself, and reflect on what's really important in your life. Live in the present. Live in the moment. Breathing, abdominal breathing is the best. Oxygenates those muscles, helps really reduce cramping and spasming. Think of others first. Be grateful. Get out of yourself. That goes back to number 2, being happy and positive, all right? And number 6, praying and meditating. God is good all the time. Balance your nutrition. You have to look at that. You want to keep your blood sugar level. If you have any nutritional insufficiencies, get those addressed. Talk to your doc about that. The multivitamin, omega-3, vitamin D, magnesium, probiotic are kind of like my top 4 supplements that everybody would benefit from today. Topic of another webinar. And number 1, use chiropractic. Get some chiropractic adjustments. Reduce the pressure on your nerves, relax the muscles, and talk to your chiropractic doctor about lifestyle changes that you may need to do because you may have more chemical irritants, you may have more physical irritants, you may have more emotional irritants. You may need to see somebody for that emotional stuff. Work with your doc about that. But these are your thumbs up solutions for stress reduction and intervention. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Be well, be happy, be safe. There's my information if you need me. Take responsibility for your health and be informed. Have a great day.